Okay, good morning. So we're starting a new simon today, Shin Chof Hey. Any Yehudi she'also malach about Israel. So now going back to some halachas about non-Jewish people on Shabbos. Let's start. Says the Mechaber, Mutar lezamin any Yehudi b'Shabbos. You're allowed to invite a non-Jewish person to your home on Shabbos. Mutar litin mezonos lefanov, and you can give him food. B'chotzer la'ochlon, in your house, in your courtyard, so he can eat. And if he takes a doggy bag home, he couldn't finish his dessert, and he puts it in a little bag or something, and he takes it home, then no problem. For dafka she'en Yehudi b'chotzer, dafka if the ein Yehudi is in the chotzer, but if he's standing outside your house, of course in a situation where there's no eruv, or pashat yada lifnim, and then he puts his hand inside, and he's putting his hand inside, and he wants to have some food, or just giving him any other item to carry out. Also, then even if he's standing on the inside and he asks you, to put this thing in his hand so he can carry it outside, that would not be allowed. Even if it's his things. Why? Because the person looking on might not realize that it belongs to him. And people will think that you're giving him your own items and he's taking them out. Even if you designate a place for him in your house, that corner belongs to him, still we don't allow it. Okay, let's see the Mishnah Berurah. So you're allowed to invite and give food to a non-Jewish person to your house on Shabbos. But on Yontif we're much stricter. That's important to know the difference. That you're allowed to invite a non-Jewish person for your house on Shabbos to eat, but not on Yom Tov. Why? Why not on Yom Tov? Because there's a concern that you might put some extra food in and cook for him, which is not allowed on Yom Tov. Because it'll come in Sim Tov Kufu Beis, but Shabbos ain't lochash l'zeh shari. But on Shabbos you're not going to cook, and therefore there's no concern. So you're allowed to invite a non-Jewish person to your house on Shabbos, but not on Yom Tov. After also litrech, so what's that going on? And you can give him food, even in the chotz in the front drive, that he might, even though you might be worried that he'll take it out. That's not a problem. After also litrech b'Shabbos v'shul misha ein mezonos levalov, even though how can you invite the non-Jewish person to your house? Because you shouldn't be matriach yourself for someone who his food is not your responsibility, because like we learned in the previous simon. However, listen to this unbelievable thing, that a non-Jewish person is considered mezonos and olav. It is your responsibility. It is considered. It comes under your remit. Why? You're allowed to give poor non-Jewish people together with poor Jewish people because of Darkei Shalom, and that makes it mezonoson alecha, and therefore you're allowed to give food to a non-Jewish person on Shabbos. And you can even put the food down in front of him in the chotzer, and even though he may well take it out of the chotzer. So you're putting food down, you're putting the drink down or food on a plate or something, and he chooses to take it and take it out of the chotzer. Also, for you to actually put the food in his hand and then he's going to walk out of the chotzer, that's a problem. Maybe he'll go out into Rosh Hashanah, and remember we've spoken about this before, that there are 3 stages to Hitzah. There's Akira, that's the actual lifting it up. Then there's the Havara going from the Yochid to the Rabbim, and then there's the Hanocha putting it down. So if you're doing any one of those 3, it's a drabonon. You've got to do all 3 to do the Deraisa. But if you're doing the Akira, putting it in his hand, and then he walks out, you've done the Akira of a Hitzah, which goes from a Yochid to a Rabbim. So therefore that's not allowed. The Eli Rabbi says, no, actually you're allowed to. You're allowed to even put the piece of cake into his hand, because you're not giving him the food, al-manasli takes it out. If he chooses to take it out, then that's his choice. Since the non-Jewish person is standing on the inside, And therefore, when he then moves and goes outside, he's done the akira. So therefore, you've done nothing. And therefore, the Eli Rabbi is matzir. And therefore, the Mishnah Berurah says you're allowed to make like the Eli Rabbi, and therefore to give food or drink to a non-Jewish person, and if he chooses to go outside, then that's his prerogative. So, for example, let's say the postman comes in, and the delivery person is a hot day and is schlepping, and you offer him a drink, no problem. And you give him a can of Coke, you put it in his hand. If he chooses to not drink it there and then and take it outside, that's his choice, and therefore he's done the. If he's come inside, yeah. For you, if he's on the outside and you to stretch out, that would be a problem. Again, we're talking about a situation where there's no eruv. It's a hitzah.
What's the chiddush?
The chiddush is that I might have thought I'm doing a ma'aser hitzah.
Standing outside. I mean, you're doing. What's the chiddush?
You're saying it's posher that is also.
Yeah.
So no, that's.
Thought that I got.
And also, but the point is to teach you that if you have is on the inside, then it's different.
So what's the problem? So again, what's the problem with that?
If it's on the inside, the problem is that you might have done, according to the first shitta, Kakosu HaPoskim, that if he's on the inside, if you're putting it in his hand, then you've done the akira. I'm lifting up the can of Coke or the piece of cake, putting it in his hand, and he's going to walk out.
He's in Shasayachid, there's no akira.
No, the akira. There are three elements. For me to do a ma'aser hitzah, I've got to pick it up in a Rosh Hashanah, carry it out into the Rosh Hashanah, and then put it down. So if I do the akira in the Rosh Hashanah, so then I'm doing one of those three elements. So therefore that could be a problem. But the Eli Rabbi says the ma'aser he's doing the akira and it's not a problem. Okay. If he's just taking it from my hand, then so then everyone agrees that's okay. Because there I haven't done anything. I'm just a table. He's just taking it from me. Okay. So then we said I'm allowed to give him food lefonov b'chotze le'ochlan. Says in the Mishnah Dalet, even if I don't say to explain to him to eat it, it's allowed. The mistama yochel sham, mistama he'll come to eat it there in your chotzer. It's coming to exclude a situation where he's not allowed to eat it in your rishus. For whatever reason, it's like a doctor's surgery, not allowed to eat there or something like that. Or there are a lot of people there and it's just not possible to eat there. Also lit in the fun of, because it's as if you're telling him to take it outside. And therefore you're back to the problem of Marasayan, that he's taking it out for me, he's my shliach. Okay. Fine. So then the Mechaber carried on and said that if he's Omid Bachutz and Pashat Yad Lefnim, Shiyodu Shiyotzienu, that was so Dafka She'eni Yehudi B'Chotzer. Dafka if he's in the Chotzer, but Omid Bachutz. But if he's standing outside in the street and he reaches in, Shiyodu Shiyotzienu, that it's clear that he takes it out. Or Litzin Shach Hafetz Mishderech Loitzi. Then also Afilim Omid B'Fnim. Says the Mishnah Berurah Pashat Yad Lefnim Ubazeh. Even if I'm not putting it in his hand, it's a problem. Even though I'm not doing any akira. Why? Since it's known that he's taking it out, then it looks like he's doing my shlichus. And certainly, if I actually take it out and do the akira and give it to him. Okay, even if I don't put it in his hand directly, or I'm just leaving it in the chotzer, also, since I know he's going to take it out, it would be also the yomer de b'shlich chusay moitzi v'chanal b'sif cotton dalet. Okay, and then we said not only that, but even if the item belonged to the non-Jewish person, for him to take it out of your house on Shabbos is a problem. Batur issa, says Mishnah Zayin, Batur issa ayafilu. Pirushu adle alkai, i.e., the ein Yehudi omid bachutz, the non-Jewish person is standing on the street on the outside, or poshet yad lefnim, and he reaches into your house. To bezeh afilu machafetzim shel Yehudi yesh marasayin. There, even if it's his items, it's a problem of marasayin. Sheyomer, people will say The Shel Yisrael Heim Shemosa Liyadei. That these are my things. They won't realize that it belongs to the non-Jewish person. Avol Kashomed B'Chotzer, but if he's on the inside, Mutzal Osis Lefonov, then he can take his items. To make a gezeira, people will say that for his items we don't say. And they will say that on the contrary, the person who sees him coming out of your chotzer with his items, it would be okay. All right. That means that there was an item which is memushkan, which is a security for Yisrael. So, for example, you lent the non-Jewish person £1,000, and he gives you an item as security, and you've designated a place for it. So it's sitting in your front room. Even though you say to him, "Listen, come and pick it up whenever you want. You've repaid the loan. Come and take this with you." We don't allow him to come and take it on Shabbos. Why is that? Because the security is as if it's my item. Even if I've designated a place for it, that it belongs to the non-Jewish person, it doesn't help. Because it's still considered in my rishus, and what?
It's not schiros.
It's if, I'm miyachid a place for him, even if he does pay you, seemingly. And therefore, coming out of your house with that item is a problem of marasayin. He says, by the way, on number 9, of a mokum hefsed gadol v'tzorich gadol, when you've designated the place for him, there is room to be mekel. Okay, base. So in a situation where there is darkei shalom, or a very powerful non-Jewish person, you're allowed to give it to him or to send it to him via a non-Jewish person. And so too, when it comes to a mitzvah purpose, that would also be allowed. If I found some chometz in my house on Pesach, to give it to the non-Jewish person to take it out, that would be okay. It's a mitzvah purpose. Says the Mishnah Berurah on Tes, Mishum Darkei Shalom. Kagoin, Einu Yehudi Shechola, a non-Jewish person who took ill, V'sholach achar mach Yisrael, and he needs some Jewish food to recuperate. Or a strong, powerful non-Jewish person, and he wants his things. Even though we're not really, there's no sakana, but you never know where it leads, and therefore you're allowed to give it to him or let him take it. Who adds in the tzorich mitzvah? After also litain lein Yehudim yodeh shet yotzi hachafesim bebeisor sarabim b'Shabbos af shelo b'shlichus Yisrael. Even though, as we've just said, you can't give your things to give to a non-Jewish person to take out into the Rosh Hashanah, the kol shkein k'shu b'shlichusa, and certainly if you're making him a shliach to take it out. However, mikol mokum hitiru b'chol elu, for all of these cases, a very powerful non-Jewish person or a tzorich mitzvah, we allow it. Because first of all, from according to many poskim, we haven't really got Rosh Hashanah deraisa nowadays. It's very unusual. And therefore, we're reducing the whole thing to a double shvus. A shvus that what is that? The shvus that it's through a non-Jewish person, and it's not going out into, it's not hitzah deraisa. V'hitir b'makom mitzvah o'mepei darkei shalom b'chiyah gavna. Omikol makom tzorich lizoy b'chol elu shelo limser liyad ein Yehudi. But still, you don't hand it directly to the hand of the non-Jewish person. The yasa yisol akira, where the Jew does the akira. You can easily avoid that by getting the non-Jewish person to take it himself. Even if the non-Jewish person says, "Can you just put it in my bag?" You got to try and avoid that because again, you could be doing the akira, which should be avoided. Erev Pesach shechol b'Shabbos. Yeah, so that could be a situation. That's how it could happen. Okay, let's just do one more sif. Mutza lahachlif mashken b'Shabbos imhu malbush. So, say for example, you lend. You lend £100 to a non-Jewish person, and he drops in a mashken. He leaves you his watch, and then he comes along on Shabbos and says, "Look, I need my watch. Let me give you something else. Yeah, can I change? I want to machlif the mashken." So says the Mechaber, "Mutza lahachlif mashken b'Shabbos imhu malbush." If the item is a piece of clothing, that's okay. V'yotzienu derech malbush. So, for example, let's say his mashkin was a coat, and it suddenly it got a bit cold, and he says, "Let me give you my watch. I want to take my coat. It's cold." So that's okay, because when he walks out, he's wearing his coat. So ein zeh matzon. It's not really business. It's derech malbush, and therefore we allow it. For Gambi Yisrael mutar binyan zeh im Yisrael tzorich lelavshay. And so too, if it was the other way around, if you've given a mashkan to a person, to a Jewish person, and you need a coat, that would be okay. Says the Ramah, for Tov shein Yehudi yitain hamashkan atzmai v'yaniach acher b'mkoim v'lu yiga b'Yisrael. Better just let him take the item and touch everything, and you don't touch it. Shelo yenira k'nosev v'nosen. Otherwise, it looks a little bit businesslike that you're taking the mashkan, you're taking the new one from him, you're giving back the old one. That doesn't look great. V'ayin le'el simin shinzayim b'soifei midin ein Yehudi hamevi b'Shabbos eze dova imuta lekable. Okay, that talks about if he can give you a gift or give you something on Shabbos. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah Yud Gimel derech malbush de'ilav hochi also kashach hafetzim. Because if he doesn't wear it out, he just carries it out, then it would be also like any other item shel Yisrael kim shemu mishkanim etzlei. Since it's security in my house. To Yomer the Yisrael Tzivul, people might say that the Jewish person has commanded this non-Jewish person to take it out. For Chanal Basif Kotan Ches Miu Imen Yehudi Alom, if he's a powerful person, Ve'en Reis Lakachas B'derech Malbush, and he says, I'm not wearing my coat out, I want to carry it out. Muta B'chol Gavni. Again, we allow it. V'yaniach Acher, he wants to trade it. Kosav Ba'aguda Hu Adin Imen Yehudi Maniach Hamoyes V'noitin HaMashkin. And so too, if not only if he wants to sort of trade his, to switch his mashkin, but even if he says, look, I owe you £100, here's the £100, and he takes his mashkin out. Even in that situation, nami shari, or bevad, shelo yechashiv Yisrael imo, so long as he starts doing cheshbonis. Now, how much did you owe me? You've already paid me 20, give me another 80. Velo yiga bohem, and the Jewish person doesn't touch it. So then it's okay. Morgan Avrom Tosef Shabbos. Be'eli Rabbi Mashma Tuhu Soivek T'chshemaniach Mois Mechsi K'masav V'matan. That he holds that when he actually puts down money, it looks businesslike. And he's stricter. He doesn't want the return of the loan on Shabbos and his taking of his mashkein. Ki'im Kashein Yehudi, unless the non-Jewish person is very powerful and it could cause problems. If it's going to cause a loss to you, for example, the security is worth £50 and you've lent him £100 and it could be a loss if he doesn't end up paying. To allow him to return the money and take his mashkin. And we said that the Jews they should avoid touching the mashkin. B'shum echad me'al mashkinas, any of the mashkinas, that's not the old one, not the new one. Miu b'Yisrael ki agav yesh lahakal shigaboy. But we allow Yisrael to touch it if it's his. To Yisrael lemechsi k'masomatan elekeshamashile. There it only looks like masomatan at the time of the loan. If he says, "Listen, lend me £100 and I'll here's my mashkein," that's not allowed. If the Yisrael doesn't believe him, you can't get another Jew to be an orev, to be a guarantor, to also mishum mimtzei chavtzecha. That's already considered business-like and should not be done on Shabbos. Okay, say that.